This is Posh Gibson. And this is entitled Discipline Equals Freedom. So, our story begins yesterday. I get home from work and just a hot tip for everybody. If there's something you want to do, right, a habit that you want to entrain yourself to do, hot tip is immediately do it after you get home from work. It's called anchoring, right? You know you're going to come home from work at some point. And so when you come in, you do the thing, you journal, you exercise in my case, because again, it's always anchoring to something that's going to happen, right? The classic example of this that I learned, shout out to BJ Fogg, I think is his name. He's like a neuropsychologist, but yeah, it's called, anchoring your habits. And like if I hope you brush your teeth every day. If you don't brush your teeth every day, brush your teeth every day. All right. So you anchor, let's say you wanted to do meditation. So you know you're going to brush your teeth. And after you brush your teeth, you anchor it with 5 minutes of meditation, right? To build up the habit of you doing meditation and just kind of, it's like a rider bill. It's kind of just like, oh, well, this is going to happen. So you just tack it on there. So it becomes brushing teeth / meditating all in one big fancy party. So I come home, I exercise, I do my qigong, do some yoga, do some kettlebell, and then I work on some media projects, some audio stories, and also some sketch comedy videos. And before I knew it, it was time for bed because I've been very serious about making sure I go to sleep at a reasonable hour. So I'm nice and refreshed for the next day. And so, yeah, because the work I was doing, I didn't think it was going to take me 3 hours, but there I was, 3 hours later, working on the thing. So when I laid down, I was like, this was different. And I kind of thought about it. And I realized that even if I am working on my various projects and things like that, I'll intersperse it with watching a TV show, watching some YouTube videos, just not doing anything, intersperse it with just sitting, just sitting down, interspersals. And what I realized is, I set a very high standard for myself in terms of the goals and what I want to pursue. Now, have my actions always aligned with those goals? No. And this is what I've realized. I don't lack ideas. I lack execution and shipping, as they call it, of these ideas. So I've been very diligent since I moved a couple weeks ago on here's the idea, we work on it, we finish it, we put it out. And I realized when I laid down, I was like, wow, if I want to continue pursuing the goals that I've outlined in my life, then more days are going to look and feel like this. And I felt good. I felt satisfied with myself. I felt I put in, a good day's work aside from my day job. I put a good day's work in my creative work job. And it made me think about a line from Jocko Willenick, who's a podcaster, also former Navy SEAL, I believe, former military badass. And he always says, discipline equals freedom. And that can be looked at in so many different ways. And that's kind of what prompted me to do this video, because discipline habits does equal freedom in so many different ways. First of all, if you're disciplined about your nutrition, about your exercise, you are freeing yourself from disease, health issues, immobility, all sorts of stuff. Just not feeling good about your body, not looking good, even putting looking good aside, just not feeling good in your body because your body is in a state of disorder. It's like, yo, what is going on out there? Because we feel like shit. So, the discipline of exercise and eating just leads to a more fruitful life because you're not entertaining the bullshit and you're freeing yourself from that bullshit by staying disciplined. And then think about discipline with your time. If you're disciplined with your time, you're not wasting it. When you say, I'm going to go to the bank and do this and do these errands and then do that, if you don't do those things, then, I understand stuff comes up in life. But if you're like, I don't feel like doing it, right? Then you put it off and put it off. You're enslaving yourself more to those tasks. And the more you kind of say, hey, this is what I got to do, and you do it, and then you move on, then you can free up other stuff. Because there's always going to be things going on that you need to take care of. But we always want to push things out. We always want to push things off and not, I guess, take them serious enough. And, discipline habits is really, I would say that no matter who you are and what you do, if you want to be successful, you need to have disciplined habits. That's really it. Because, you won't be able to follow through on what you want to do because you'll keep moving the goalposts. You'll keep pushing it out, and not dealing with what needs to be dealt with in the now. And T for time out, I just want to plug these books. This one, it's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. I started rereading it because, as I was saying, I've been emphasizing my disciplined habits, my disciplined exercise and nutrition habits, my disciplined creative work habits, my disciplined, there's other disciplined habits I'm working on. Just having an overall disciplined habit mindset where it's like, this is my identity. And this is another thing that plays into this, and this is probably the most occult angle of this discussion, is that for your habits to really sink in, you need to adopt that identity. You need to convince yourself that you are this identity. For example, if I'm going to say, I am a writer and I make books, I write books, then you better be damned if I'm not writing books and just writing in general. Because if I'm not, I'm just saying I'm a writer. And this is an issue with, let's just call it like it is, society in general, people in general. Too much talking, too much, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I will do this, I will do that. Too much. Because then when it comes to action time, people don't have the heart. Maybe they have the heart, but they don't have the determination to put things into place. Because talking like, ooh, I'm going to be a millionaire, that makes us feel good, right? Ooh, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That makes us feel great, right? Because we have visions, we have aspirations. But then when we're sitting and we're working on the thing that's leading us to that millionaire status, we're like, oh, why am I even doing this? We get discouraged. And that's why adopting an identity, convincing yourself an identity, is of premier importance, because you'll just be trying to do stuff, like, for example, if a doctor didn't feel that they were a doctor, didn't think they were a doctor, even if they went to med school, did all the things, did their, I don't know, what is it, what's the med school thing? Your rounds, your whatever all the steps to be a doctor are. If they've done all that and they still didn't feel like a doctor, I would not want that person doctoring me because it's like they haven't convinced themselves of their identity. And I would say that their ability to care for patients will likely suffer because they haven't, even if they've done the behaviors, they don't have a mindset that's like, I am a doctor. I care for patients. I work on this. I do that, right? That's what you need. You know, whether you're a creative person, a business person, a family, you need to have your identity be aligned with your actions. And a lot of times people's actions are just doing one thing and then their identity is doing another thing and there's no alignments. And, you know, I think that's where a lot of people falter with their habits, is that they don't scale out and zoom out and be like, okay, what identity is tied to these habits? Because I have specific identities that my habits are tied to. For example, being an occultist, right? That's a premier one. Am I doing behaviors that support that? Am I doing actions that support that? Fuck yes, all the time. And if I'm not, then I'm just an occultist by, you know, word sounds alone. And that doesn't really do anything. You know, I could say I'm an airline pilot, but have I flown a plane? Have I even been in a plane? Well, I've been in a plane before, but have I flown a plane? Or am I just saying I'm a pilot? Y'all, you can't just be saying things. I mean, I get it. It's like, universe, I want a husband, blah, 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 blah. You know, I get it. I want a wife, you know. I'd be doing that. First of all, the universe is you, not anywhere else. It's fucking you. So don't forget that. Don't be talking out there. Talk to yourself. You are the universe. The universe is you. Stop with all the nonsense. Okay? I think it's kind of, people want to kind of disassociate. Well, it's like, oh, I asked the universe and, you know, this happened, you know, or this didn't happen. You're like, oh, the universe, blah, blah, blah. You know, or no, you are the universe. You are in fucking control. Whether you use that control or not, that's on you. Back to my main point. What was my main point? But yeah, you are the universe. So if you are asking for something, you are asking yourself. And if you're asking yourself, then you're responsible. Excuse me. You are responsible. Oh man, going in makes you cough. But since you're the universe, you're responsible. You can't put it on just outside yourself. It's in you, right? It's in you. And so you need to take ownership of that. And hold on. I sound a moment where I was like, is the thing for my clip-on mic plugged in all the way? Because that would be annoying. It would just, I did this whole video. See, I didn't do a test video. That's why I fucked up. And now I'm like, ooh, I hope everything's on. Is this on? Yeah, it's on. Okay. I guess, yeah, if that wasn't plugged in all the way, this wouldn't be green. It would be like flashing. So, you know, there you go. But yeah, you can't just externalize the, you know, your thoughts. You need to internalize them. And you need to be like, okay, universe, which is me, I want this. Now, what actions do I need to do? What habits do I need to do to support this, to support this identity? You know, because, you know, if you do a ritual, right? Hey, Ganesha, hey, Hanuman, yeah, help me clear these things, blah, 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 blah. You know, that's great and all. But then, like, if you're not doing shit on your side of clearing the obstacles, then Ganesha's gonna be like, dude, what the fuck? I was trying to move all these obstacles and you're still putting up obstacles. Like, what are we doing here? Right? I don't know if Ganesha would actually say that, but it's the idea of you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be like, I want this, and then just, you know, not do anything to support that. That's stupid. and it's ignorant. You need to be, if you're going to be working with the unseen, you also need to be working with the seen, right? Seen and unseen coming together, right? So, discipline equals freedom. I was on one just then. Discipline equals freedom, and this is why y'all need to get the War of Art. Because, you know, what this gets into, I don't know where I was going with that original thing. So we'll just get into the War of Art. The War of Art gets into the idea that there's resistance. If you say, you know, classic example, I want to write the next great American novel. How about we switch that? I want to write the next great Peruvian novel. There's going to be something in you that's like, what? No. Listen. Don't do that. Instead, just eat snacks on the couch, right? You've been doing that already. Why are you going to do a whole writing a great novel thing? Like, come on, guy, gal, come on, right? There's always that something in your back of your mind that's like, nah, you know, and we could call it the ego mind, right? Also called the player hater. Player hater is always like, nah, fam, like, nah, that ain't it. It's what you're gonna open your own business, helping starving children. I don't know about that. I don't know. What? You're gonna paint? Have you even painted before? Nah, just leave that. Nah, fam, just leave that to people who are already painting. You just sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Okay? That'll be the better path for you. Trust me, I know. Right? There's always that something, that voice that tells us not to do the thing, that's especially if the thing's in the service of our higher self. If it's like, I want to go fuck a whole bunch of women or fuck a whole bunch of dudes, that voice isn't going to be like, oh, like, yeah. The voice is going to be like, yeah, go for it. That sounds great. It's like, oh, fantastic. Right? But it's like, whoa. You want to open a soup kitchen? Oh, whoa, wait. Oh, whoa. And, you know, this is the voice of resistance. So in this book, again, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, he talks about, you know, the battle of resistance and how it shows up in our lives and the various forms it shows up in our lives. And then it talks about the idea of going from amateur to turning pro. And, you know, this is probably the part that's been most beneficial to me rereading this book, is because, you know, I've kind of seen and understood how my resistance shows up, right? Because it's going to be different for everyone, how that resistance manifests in their life, right? Some people, it's going to be like, ooh, yeah, booty calls. Other people, it's going to be drugs. Other people, it's going to be food. Other people, it's going to be Netflix. Other people, it's just going to be laziness. Other people, it's going to be disease. Yeah, he even goes there. So it's, you know, first step is kind of identifying your specific brand of your resistance. And, you know, then he talks about the muse, you know, and something I always think about the muse is that the muse shows up and, you know, runs on faith. You know, you can't be like, hey, muse, whoa, where are we going? What about, you know, we always want to run our human mouse and find all this information rather than being like, do you trust the muse? Oh, you do. Has the muse brought you wonderful places before? Oh, it has. Okay, well, just get in the car, right? Because it's like an Uber. They're not going to wait outside your house, but so long, and then they're leaving, okay? And then you're like, oh, muse left? Oh, man. It was probably because resistance was fucking like, yo, don't go out there, yo, muse. You know, muse gets like, nah. Just stay in here, man. Yo, you'll catch another one. Just, nah, fuck that shit. So right now, like the part that I've been zeroing in on the book is turning pro, right? Going from an amateur to turning pro. And, you know, amateur in this book, he outlines, you know, various different ways that could show up and what that looks like versus a professional and whatever you're doing. It's not necessarily like professional, like a professional athlete. It's like having a mindset of professional versus a mindset of an amateur. And it's super beneficial because it's just illuminates the pitfalls, the inspiration, and the professional attitude and mindset that helps you push through. And so I highly, especially if you are a creative person, but if you are anybody, I highly recommend this book. I used to give it out to people because I just found it so damn good, because it really just helps you, just kind of look at yourself and kind of your blocks. So yeah, it's very, very excellent. And going further, to go back to the original point about discipline equaling freedom, pursuing what I just call my mission, right? I have probably three main missions right now. This is one of them: putting out ancient wisdom, spiritual information, psychological information that at the very least I know has helped me in my life. So I know there's at least one other person out there who could benefit from hearing this sort of stuff, right? So I primarily have three main missions, right? And I know the further I'm disciplined with carrying out those missions, right? Because even think about we were talking about Jocko Willink before, and about he was a Navy SEAL. Imagine if it's okay, men, we have this mission, we got to go here, we got to do this, and then being like, do we have to do that? I don't know. Can we do that tomorrow? No, what? No, we can't do that mission tomorrow. It has to be today, right? And having that same urgency and having that same discipline as Navy SEALs would have. And, frankly, it took me almost dying last spring for me to kind of level up my urgency, because life plays no games, folks. Life plays no games. So neither should you, unless you want to play Chutes and Ladders, which I don't think I've ever played Chutes and Ladders. And I'm glad. Fuck Chutes and Ladders. You know why? Because it represents anarchy. Yeah, think about it. So discipline equals freedom. And this freedom could be, monetary. If you're disciplined with your finances and you figure out ways to invest and grow your money, that can lead to freedom financially. If you're disciplined with your creative work, that can also lead to abundance and more income and financial independence, as they call it. If you're more disciplined with your relationships, you'll have stronger and deeper bonds with people, because you won't just be like, oh, well, I'm not going to hang out with that person. I know I haven't seen them in this long, but whatever. Just keeping a disciplined mindset is powerful, because it keeps you on task and it keeps you moving. It doesn't keep you stagnant, because there is always something to do, right? There's always something to do. And if you're not disciplined, then shit will just pile up. And it could be piling up like, oh, I haven't worked on these poems. Oh, I haven't looked at my finances. Oh, I haven't done my laundry, right? There's so many different things can pile up. That's why another hot tip is putting things you have to do, tasks, actions, habits, on your calendar. They often say, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? Because it's good to have a to-do list, at least I think. So because I like to see visually, okay, these are the things in this area that I have to do, right? But if I don't assign them a time slot, that it's just floating around, oh, I got to do these tasks. But it's no, at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, I'm going to call to refill my prescriptions. At 3 p.m. on Thursday, I'm going to make an appointment with the dentist. You got to prescribe your time, right? Time works for you. Don't let anybody get it twisted. There's two things that work for you, everybody: your time and your money. Don't ever think that it's the other way around. You are the master of your time, and that you are the master of your money. And so you choose where your time goes. You choose where your money goes. If you're not, you need to get your life flipped upside down and around, like in that intro to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because you need to prescribe your time. You need to prescribe what your money does for you. Otherwise, just be like, oh yeah, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, $20 here, $40 there, right? And they're like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have money to do this. Well, were you mindful with your time? Were you mindful with your finances? Because I guarantee if you're saying those things, you weren't. And again, discipline. Discipline equals freedom. Because I know I'll be able to get to a point where even with my goals, as I don't want to call them lofty, my goals are my goals. I don't want to call them big goals, big dreams, big vision, whatever. They're fucking, I'm not trying to take over the world yet. Just goals. I know I can get to a point where I have a system of doing what I want to do, and I will have abundant free time because I'll be able to structure my day and week to like, okay, here's the pocket. I do this. I work on this for this amount of time. Then, I can just hang out. And then tomorrow I'll do this and then that. And then on the weekends, I'll do these things. And then, I'll go out. It's about prescribing your time and being disciplined with it. One last thing. Also need to recommend this book, The Courage to be Disliked. Excellent, excellent text. And I highly recommend it because, as the title would suggest, it's about having the courage to be disliked. And kind of to expound upon that, if you are uniquely living your life by the beat of your own drum, to your own melody, to your own dance and walking and all this sort of stuff, but you being yourself in the highest sense, naturally, even if it's illogical and irrational and doesn't even make any sense to you, nor does it need to, someone could be like, hey, look at that guy putting out spiritual videos. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with that guy? And to me, I'm doing a service to the world, but to others, they could, probably says a lot more about them than it does about me. They could disapprove of my actions. And that's fine. That is their task, which is what your tasks are in life, and being like, okay, that's that person's task. That is not for me to think about, deal with, feel anything about. That's for them over there. I will focus on my tasks over here. And so, just having the courage to be disliked versus wanting to be liked, which, hi, my name is Posh Gibson. I'm a recovering people pleaser, right? There's so many people who want to be liked to the detriment of their own spirit, to their own psychology, to their own emotions. And that ain't it, fam. That ain't it. So you gotta have the courage to be disliked and be like, okay, whatever. Right? That's why I think for men, another hot tip. We got 3 hot tips in this video, folks. Fantastic. If you want to be, I don't know how to say this, perceived by women as, I don't know how to put this. If you just want to be perceived as confident, then don't filter yourself. Don't be like, oh, I shouldn't say this because she may not like it. No, say it. I mean, don't be offensive just to be offensive, right? But don't hold back if it's like you really feel about something, you really think a certain way. Because frankly, if people like dislike what you said, people will respect you more that you said something that maybe is uncomfortable, that maybe even they didn't want to hear, but it's your actual stance. You're not just saying things to be provocative and controversial. You're saying them because like, oh, this is, it's like, yeah, pizza. Yeah, I don't know. I think pizza kind of is the worst food ever. It's kind of, I don't think I've ever had any good pizza anywhere. Well, I don't think it's, calzone maybe, stromboli, sure. But pizza, meh. And, that's a silly version of it, but, there's plenty of situations where we're engaged in a conversation and and we think something and we're like, this is how I feel, but I'm not going to say it. Because deep down, we want the person to like us. We want to be liked. And changing that around is very freeing. And now when I have moments where I'm kind of second guessing about doing something, I'm like, courage to be disliked. I just go for it. So that's all I got. It's been fun. And yeah, I look forward to doing more videos because videos rock and roll. All right, goodbye.